Hollywood Brown speaks out about his return to the Chiefs, and could the Chiefs add another wide receiver on draft day? Plus, are the Chiefs going back to the White House? We're going to talk about it. Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast
for that ass.
You, hey you, hit that like button for us. Also, subscribe if you haven't already.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up.
Steve, Hollywood says the fans didn't get to see the real Hollywood. The coaches, teammates, and people in the building got to see him, but not Chiefs Kingdom, and that's why he wanted to come back to the Chiefs this season on another 1 year. What does that say about Hollywood as a person and a player?
I think that's a pretty cool gesture by Hollywood to want to come back to Kansas City and try to show Chiefs Kingdom what he can actually do. We know that Andy Reid saw a lot in that kid in the offseason last year in training camp. He had the offense heavily geared towards what Hollywood Brown could do, and obviously got hurt in his first freaking snap as a Chief, so we didn't really get to see that play out. Mike, what do you think he offers this team this season if he does stay healthy the whole time?
Hollywood, I think, opens up the offense in a way that we got to see flashes of after Week 16 when he returned, but it kind of fizzled out in the playoffs. You seen against Houston, Buffalo, Philly in the playoffs, he didn't really get used a lot. I want to say he only had about 13 targets that entire time and only had 5 receptions in the playoffs, and that includes the Super Bowl. But you did see against Houston and Pittsburgh when he come back, he had 15 targets, 9 catches for right around 90 yards. So it still wasn't like a super productive thing, but you've seen it open up the offense. I think he's got a lot left in the tank. I think he's got a lot left to prove, and I believe by coming back to the Chiefs this year, Andy is still going to find a way to keep him as an integral part, and all Patrick Mahomes has to do is trust him, because our receivers next year are going to be pretty good. You're going to get Rashee Rice returning, and you've already got Xavier Worthy coming back in his second season.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned that Hollywood had some left in the tank. He is only 27 years old. We haven't really got to see a full healthy season from Hollywood in a little while. His last year with the Ravens was his only 1,000-yard season of his career, and it just kind of comes by volume. Like, Hollywood's a guy that you have to use quite a bit. It took him 91 receptions to get over that 1,000-yard mark, and I think it's going to take a lot of receptions from him this year to have a big season. It really just depends on how Andy Reid wants to use him in the offense, and if Patrick will pepper him the football, I think it could be very, very effective. Speaking of effective and the receivers, Mike, there is one guy rumored to drop in the draft, and he's been said to be a must draft by Kansas City if he's still hanging out at 31.
Yeah, that's Luther Burden from Missouri. A lot of people in Chiefs Kingdom's going to be very familiar with Luther Burden from Missouri. He was a 5-star recruit. He was a top 10 overall prospect nationally. He was Max Prep's National Player of the Year and a 6A All-State as a senior with 20 TDs in high school. So the kid can play. They've seen him at Missouri. Now, look, here's the thing. In 2024, his production fell off. And what Joe Summers said in his article is that if you watched Missouri, that you'll know it was because of the bad QB play. Steve, I went back and watched it, and I seen some bad QB play, but I still don't think Luther Burden had the same explosiveness in 2024 than he did in 2023. Even at the combine, he didn't run as well as we thought he was going to. He only clocked a 4.4 140 and a 1.54 10-yard split. The 1.54 10-yard split is decently elite, but at 6'2", 206, I think he's really got to rely on speed and his agility and his movement in tight spaces. So I would like to see him in a Chiefs uniform, Steve, but I think he's got a lot of questions to answer in this draft process leading up, and it's going to start with his pro day.
Mike, I love Luther Burden. You know that. I think this kid's super explosive with the ball in his hands. I think a lot of people are focusing too much on the production drop-off last season and not really just thinking about the athlete that he is. That kid is absolutely insane. I don't think he just forgot how to do that in one season. So I don't think that's as big of a worry as other people do. One thing that you do have to look at with Luther Burden, though, is it's all about yak with him. 75% of his career catches were targeted inside of 10 yards, and he created after that. But the thing about it is, man, he's got that acceleration. He can bypass the defenders, and he's got the top end speed to absolutely blow a play wide open. That's the kind of thing that Kansas City has lacked since Tyreek Hill was traded away, and I would love to see it. If he's sitting there at the end of the first round, I think it's kind of crazy to pass up on that.
Right. Well, the fact in 2023 that he had 86 catches for 1,209 yards and 9 TDs, people thought this guy was a surefire first rounder. And then in 2024, Steve, he only had 61 catches for 676 yards. That's almost half less production that he had in 2024. He still managed to get 6 TDs compared to 9 in 2023, but he just didn't look that good against Murray State, against Buffalo, against Boston College. All these teams he should be out there just destroying. He really didn't score that high per PFF. His best game of the year come against UMass. And I mean, come on, if you're going to be a number 1 wide receiver in this league and a first-round pick, I think you have to do a little bit better versus bigger competition. And I think that's where Luther Burden's fall is coming from. And a lot of people think he could slip all the way into the second. So that leads me to think that the Chiefs really do have a decision to make. You got to look long and hard at Luther Burden at number 31, because going along with Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown, and then in years to come, this could be a dynamic receiving core for probably the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career.
Yeah, for sure. There are a couple drawbacks on Luther Burden, even from my perspective, and I love the kid. I think he does take some snaps off, and he kind of short circuits if he's not the primary option. But that's the thing about it. I think he's mentally tough enough to overcome that in the NFL. I mean, hell, Mike, he has 9 freaking sisters. If you can handle that, you can handle anything.
I think Luther Burden could be that guy inside of 10 yards, that nice bailout option for Patrick Mahomes that he's not had in a while. Steve, moving on though, President Trump said in an interview with Outkick's Clay Travis that he will, or he's already invited the Chiefs, I'm not for sure which one, to the White House to celebrate their Super Bowl LIV, since they couldn't get there the first time due to the COVID situation. So what do you think about this gesture from Trump? And if you were the Chiefs, would you accept it? Would you go back to the White House, or would you not?
Hell yeah, you accept that. Only losers don't go to the White House when they win the Super Bowl. Everybody's so sensitive these days. You know what? It's not about that. It's about going to celebrate the accomplishment and doing it on the biggest freaking stage. And I think the Chiefs should take advantage of that, because Super Bowl 54, Mike, that was the first Super Bowl this team won in 50 freaking years. There were a lot of guys on that team that didn't get to go on and win more Super Bowls and experience that. So that gesture to me is pretty freaking awesome. Some of those guys can get back together, get that team back together, and go celebrate it. I mean, the Eagles already shot it down because they're a bunch of slap nuts. So we might as well bring in the best team in the country, bring the Chiefs on in there and celebrate that way, because Philly's just embarrassing.
Yeah, well, I heard they're going to go. I've heard they changed their mind on that.
Oh, but they flip-flop. I
think so. But I do like the gesture by Trump here. I think Biden could have done it too. He could have offered it up. I just don't think he was worried about it. But this is a fun thing to do to bring back the Chiefs, because like you said, there's a lot of guys there that didn't get to go on and win the next year with the Chiefs, and so they maybe not have got to visit the White House or things like that. And that's a fun accomplishment and something that comes along with winning the Super Bowl. Maybe they didn't even get to go to Disney, Steve. Maybe Disney needs to send out an invite too, because they probably had that closed to COVID.
Now it's your turn, Chiefs Kingdom. Get down in the comments. Let us know what you think Hollywood Brown's going to do for this Chiefs team in the upcoming season. Also, if Luther Burden's sitting there at 31, can you really pass him up? Let us know what you think about it.
That's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching All Chiefed Up. Thanks for liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. Share this with a friend. We'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.
So I've been waiting for this.
Sorry.